When my parents were on the verge of losing their home, I gave them all my savings. At Easter, my father snorted. He can't get his life together, but he's a walking ATM machine for us. I replied, someday you'll regret treating me like that. 3 months later, I did something they didn't expect. Yesterday, my father sent 22 messages, answer the FUCK. We're gone. I never thought I'd be sharing this, but I honestly need to get it out. Maybe it's just me trying to make sense of everything, or maybe I'm hoping someone out there will tell me I'm not losing my mind. Or maybe I just need to hear my own thoughts, because right now everything feels like a blur. So, for some context, I'm Jason. I'm 32, single, and I live alone in a small, one-bedroom apartment. I work online, mostly doing freelance work. It's not glamorous, but it pays the bills. I'm not some flashy guy with a big social circle. I keep to myself, and my life is pretty low-key. I guess you could say I'm the quiet one in the family. The one who stays out of the drama, who avoids the spotlight. At least, that's how my dad would put it. My dad. Well, he's the type who always has to be in charge, the main character in his own story. He's loud, opinionated, and everything has to go his way. My mom is quieter, the peacemaker. She's the one who smooths things over when dad's temper flares. And then there's my younger sister, Megan. Sweet girl, but she avoids conflict like it's a disease. If there's even a hint of tension, she just shuts down. I can't blame her. In our family, that's probably the safest strategy. We're not some close, picture-perfect family. More like a group of people who happen to share DNA and see each other on holidays. There's always this weird tension hanging in the air, this feeling like something could explode at any moment. And I guess that moment came sooner than I expected. It started with a call from my mom. It was a random Tuesday night, and I was just sitting on my couch, scrolling through my phone, thinking about ordering takeout. My phone buzzed and her name popped up on the screen. I answered, half expecting it to be one of those just checking in calls. But the second she spoke, I knew something was wrong. Her voice was shaky, almost defeated. Jason, we're going to lose the house, she said, just like that. No build-up, no small talk. Just straight to the point. I remember just sitting there, frozen. I didn't even know what to say. I knew money had been tight for them lately, but I had no idea it was this bad. Turns out, my dad had been hiding the foreclosure notices, pretending everything was fine, telling mom he had it under control. Classic dad move. Always has to be the one in charge, even when the ship's sinking. Why didn't you tell me sooner? I asked, still trying to process it all. I didn't know how, she whispered. He kept saying he would handle it. That everything was fine. But it's not, Jason. It's not fine. I knew she was on the verge of tears. And even though a part of me was angry that they'd let it get this bad, angry that I was being dragged into their mess, I couldn't just sit there and do nothing. How much do you need? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. I don't know. We're months behind. They're saying they're going to start the foreclosure process if we don't pay soon. I didn't have a lot of money. I mean, I had some savings, but I wasn't exactly swimming in cash. I'm not some tech billionaire or trust fund kid. But I wasn't going to let them lose their home. So I did what I had to do. I moved money around, cashed out some investments, nothing major, just a few things I had set aside. I even sold some of my old gaming equipment, stuff I didn't really use anymore. Anything to get enough to keep them afloat. And then I sent it. Every dollar I could spare. I didn't ask for a thank you, didn't expect them to sing my praises. But I thought maybe. I don't know. Maybe I get something? A bit of appreciation? A thank you that actually meant something? But that's not what happened. Instead, I got silence. Absolute, deafening silence. My dad didn't even text me. Not a call, not a word. My mom sent a brief text, thank you, Jason. We love you. And that was it. Megan sent me a random meme about cats a few days later, like she was trying to lighten the mood, but that was just her way of dealing with things. I tried to shrug it off, telling myself maybe they were just embarrassed. Maybe my dad's pride was hurt and he didn't know how to say thank you. But the more I thought about it, the more it gnawed at me. Then Easter rolled around and Mom insisted I come over for dinner. I almost didn't want to go. I was still broke from bailing them out and the whole thing left a bitter taste in my mouth. But it was family, right? So I went. The moment I walked in, I could tell something was off. The air was thick with forced smiles and awkward small talk. My dad was in his usual form, launching into one of his rants about how the world's gone soft and people don't know what hard work is. I just sat there, trying to blend into the background, not wanting to make waves. But then it happened. We were halfway through dinner, and my dad, in his usual booming voice, made a joke. Except it wasn't funny. At least Jason's good for handouts, he laughed. Can't seem to run his own life, but he's always there to bail us out when it counts. I felt my face go hot. My hands shook under the table. I looked at Mom, she looked away. Megan was glued to her phone, pretending not to notice. My dad just kept laughing like it was the funniest thing in the world. Maybe one day you'll wish you treated me differently, I said, my voice steady but sharp. My dad's laughter stopped. His smile faded. He leaned back, narrowing his eyes. Oh, don't be so dramatic, Jason. Can't take a joke? A joke? I shot back. Is that what you call it? Maybe if you grew up a bit, you'd have more to offer than your petty cash, he snapped. I felt something snap inside me. I stood up so fast my chair scraped against the floor. My dad stood too, like he was ready to square up. But I didn't care. I'm done being your punching bag, I said. And I'm done being your safety net. Figure out the next payment on your own. And with that, I walked out. I didn't look back, didn't care if they were shouting. I just left. Drove home, parked, and sat there in my car, staring at my phone. Silence. No calls. No texts. Nothing. I spent that night staring at the ceiling, wondering if I'd finally had enough. Or if this was just the beginning of something worse. I wish I could say that walking out of that house felt like freedom, like I was finally standing up for myself. But it didn't. Not really. It felt like a punch in the gut, like I had just shattered something I could never put back together. I spent that night in my dark, silent apartment, staring at the ceiling, replaying every word, every look, every moment from that dinner. A part of me kept wondering if I was the problem, if I'd overreacted, if I should have just laughed it off like I always did. But then I'd remember my dad's voice, his laughter, the way he turned my desperation to help them into some twisted punchline, and the anger would flare up again. I didn't sleep much that night. The next morning, my phone buzzed with a single text from my mom. Please don't be mad. That was it. No apology, no acknowledgement of what had happened. Just another attempt to smooth things over without actually addressing anything. I didn't reply. Days turned into a week. Nothing from my dad. No calls, no texts. Just a strange, hollow silence. Megan sent me a few random memes, which I ignored. It was her way of pretending things were fine, but I wasn't playing along this time. Then the messages started coming, not from my parents, but from family. An aunt I hadn't heard from in months sent me this long, rambling text about how family is all we have, and how I should try to understand what my parents are going through. I didn't even respond. It was clear my dad had been talking, spinning his own version of the story. And I knew exactly what that version was: me, the ungrateful son who turned his back on his struggling parents. Then I got a DM on Instagram from one of my cousins. Hey, are you really not helping your parents anymore? The anger bubbled up inside me. I didn't reply. I didn't have to. I knew how this went. My dad had always been the storyteller in our family, the one who could twist anything to fit his narrative. And now he was doing it again, except this time I was the villain. But the real gut punch came when I got a letter. Not a text, not an email, an actual letter from the bank. Addressed to me. I remember just staring at it, my name on the envelope, and feeling this cold sense of dread. When I finally opened it, it confirmed my worst fear. Because I had paid their mortgage directly more than once, the bank now had me listed as a financially interested party. In other words, they saw me as someone responsible for the payments. I didn't sign anything. I wasn't a co-signer. But because I had been the one making the payments, the bank thought I was involved. Panic turned into anger. I grabbed my phone, called my mom. Did you know about this? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. About what? She sounded cautious, like she already knew. About the bank having my name on their mortgage records. I snapped. Because I made the payments. She was quiet for a moment. Then she sighed. I didn't know it would happen. I thought you were just helping. Helping? I interrupted. Mom, I'm not just helping. They've got my name on this. I'm now tied to this mess. And I didn't agree to that. I'll talk to your father, she whispered. Yeah, you do that. And tell him this. I'm not giving another cent without seeing everything in writing. I want to know what's owed, where it's going, and how it's being spent. She hesitated. Jason, please, you're making this so complicated. I'm making this complicated? I laughed bitterly. Mom, I bailed you out. I gave up everything I had. and Dad turned it into a joke. Now I'm stuck in this, and I'm supposed to just smile and keep giving. She sighed again. I'll talk to him, but talking didn't help. A few days later, my dad showed up at my apartment. It was late, and I didn't even hear him coming until he was banging on the door. Reluctantly, I opened it, and there he was, arms crossed, jaw clenched, trying to look calm but clearly furious. "This needs to stop," he said, not bothering with a greeting. "You're tearing this family apart. You need to give me the money directly, like before." "Or what?" I shot back. "Or we're done. And don't think I won't tell the family exactly who you are. Some selfish, ungrateful." "Selfish?" I couldn't help but laugh. "I gave you everything I had. Everything. And you turned around and humiliated me in front of everyone. Now I'm the bad guy." "You're twisting things," he growled. "Always making me the villain. I did everything for you." "Everything?" I scoffed. "Is that why you turned me into the family punchline? Why you'd rather I keep my mouth shut and just hand over cash?" "Watch your mouth," he snapped, stepping closer. "You think you're better than me now? You think you can just walk away?" I did walk away, and I'm not coming back unless you treat me like an adult, like a human being. "I don't need your pity," he shouted, his voice echoing down the hallway. A neighbor's door cracked open, someone peeking out before quickly shutting it again. "You think you're some big shot because you handed over a few dollars? A few dollars?" My voice was shaking now, but I didn't care. "I emptied my savings for you. I sold my things for you, and you couldn't even say thank you. Not a real one. You're just like your mother," he muttered, voice dripping with contempt. "Weak. Always playing the victim." That was it. That was the moment something inside me snapped. "Get out," I whispered, stepping back into my apartment, gripping the door. "Get out, or I'll call the police." "You wouldn't dare," he sneered. "Try me," I said, feeling my heart race, feeling the fear, the anger, the exhaustion all boiling over. For a moment he just stood there, breathing heavily. Then, with a furious swipe, he slapped his hand against the doorframe and stormed off down the hallway. I stood there, shaking, my hand gripping the doorknob so hard my knuckles turned white. I waited until I heard the door to the stairwell slam shut before I let myself breathe. I never thought I'd say it, but I was done, truly done, and it felt more like a loss than a victory. In the days that followed, I tried to convince myself that I was free, that walking away from my father's shouting, from my family's endless demands, meant I was finally done being their punching bag. But the reality was far messier. My phone didn't blow up with calls, but I wasn't left in peace either. My mom texted me a few times, each message a mix of guilt-tripping and begging. "Can you please just talk to your father? He's under so much stress." "Jason, we're still family." But I ignored them. I didn't have the energy to keep arguing with a brick wall. Megan, my sister, was more subtle. Her texts were less about the drama and more just random memes or TikToks, like she was trying to pretend everything was normal. But I could read between the lines. She was scared. Scared of being caught in the middle, scared of being the one left behind to deal with our parents. Part of me felt guilty for leaving her with that mess, but another part was just so tired. And then the letters from the bank kept coming. Each one a fresh reminder of just how deep I was in this. They weren't just addressed to my parents anymore. They were addressed to me too. I was financially connected to that damn house even if I hadn't signed anything. Every week, a new letter would arrive, overdue payment notices, final warnings. It was like a constant pulse of anxiety in the back of my mind. Finally, I called the bank. I was done being left in the dark. After spending an eternity on hold, I finally got through to someone, and they confirmed my worst fear. Because I had made multiple direct payments on the mortgage, they saw me as a financially interested party. Which meant if my parents missed another payment, it could damage my credit too. "So, what are my options?" I asked, trying to keep the panic out of my voice. "Well, if you continue making payments, you can maintain the account in good standing," the woman on the phone explained. "But if you're worried about misuse, you can set up a direct payment arrangement where the funds go directly to the mortgage, bypassing your parents." That was it. That was my answer. I hung up and immediately started making calls, setting things up so that any payments I made would go directly to the mortgage company. No more handing cash to my parents and hoping they used it right. If I was going to be responsible for this, I was going to be in control. Then I texted my mom, laying it out in clear terms. From now on, if I make any payments, they go through me. I want full transparency. Every bill, every expense. No exceptions. Her reply was a single thumbs-up emoji. I don't know why that hit me so hard. Maybe because it was the most passive-aggressive thing she'd ever done. No words, just a thumb, like she was too exhausted to even pretend to argue. My dad? Silence. But I wasn't surprised. He wasn't the type to admit he'd lost control. He'd probably rather burn the house down than let me take over. And maybe that's what he was planning. Because soon after, the family gossip machine kicked into overdrive. Texts started coming from aunts, uncles, even cousins I hadn't spoken to in years. Jason, your dad says you're trying to take the house from them. Is it true you're holding money over their heads? I didn't reply to most of them, but the anger inside me kept growing. My dad was spinning his version of the story, painting me as some villain, and they were eating it up. I sent a text to my mom, you tell dad that if he keeps lying about me, I'll show the whole family exactly how much I've given you, with proof. No reply. Then one night, as I was trying to forget the whole mess by mindlessly scrolling on my phone, I got a message from Megan. Dad's losing it. He's blaming me because you won't help anymore. Please, can you just do something? I stared at the screen, torn between anger and guilt. She was right, she was the one caught in the crossfire. But what could I do? Keep pouring money into a black hole just to keep the peace? Pretend everything was fine while my dad trashed me to everyone? I texted her back, I'm sorry, Meg. But I can't. Not like this. Her reply was just a sad face emoji. But I wasn't done. I was tired of being the villain in my dad's story. If he wanted to play games, I was going to play too. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I started looking into the mortgage directly. A quick search told me that because my name was now on the records, I could actually get access to the account information. I called the bank again, confirmed my identity, and asked for a detailed statement of every payment made in the last year. When the statement arrived, I went through it with a highlighter marking every payment I had made. I totaled it up. Thousands of dollars. Thousands I'd handed over to keep them in that house. And I had the proof now. Armed with that, I sent one last text to my mom. If Dad keeps telling people I'm abandoning you, I will show everyone exactly how much I've paid. I'm done being his scapegoat. She didn't reply. But something changed after that. The texts from family slowed down. I guess my mom must have told him I wasn't bluffing. Maybe some of them started asking questions. Maybe they were tired of the drama too. And then, just when I thought things might calm down, I got another letter. But this one wasn't just another warning. It was a final notice. The house was officially in foreclosure. I remember just staring at it, the cold, impersonal words on the page like a slap in the face. I sat there for a long time, the letter in one hand, my phone in the other. I had a choice. I could let them lose the house and just be done with all of it, finally cut the cord. Or I could do something drastic. I knew what my dad would do. He'd blame me. He'd tell the family that I'd let them go homeless out of spite. That I'd abandoned them. He'd keep twisting the story, keep making me the villain. But I was tired of his stories. Tired of his lies. So I made a call. Not to him. Not to my mom. But to the bank. I told them I wanted to know the process for buying out a lien. I wasn't sure if I could do it, but I had to know. The woman on the phone explained the steps, the costs, the paperwork. And the more I listened, the more I knew this was the answer. I was going to take control. Not just of my money, but of the whole damn situation. If my dad wanted to turn me into the villain, fine. But this time I'd be the one writing the ending. I didn't tell anyone what I was planning. Not my mom, not Megan, and definitely not my dad. I wasn't interested in another screaming match, another round of blame shifting and guilt trips. I was done playing by their rules. This time it was going to be my way. The process wasn't easy. Buying out the lien on their house was complicated, full of paperwork and fees. I had to cash out what was left of my savings, borrow a little from a friend, and sell a few more things I'd held onto out of nostalgia: an old gaming console, a watch I never wore. But I pulled it together. After weeks of back and forth with the bank, I finally got the confirmation. I was now the lien holder on my parents' house. In simple terms, I didn't own the house, but I owned the debt. I was effectively their landlord. If they missed payments, I could foreclose. I could even evict them if it came to that. And the power of that, the sheer sense of control, it was like nothing I'd ever felt before. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like the helpless, quiet son in the background. I didn't feel like the family's backup plan or their doormat. I felt solid, like I finally had the upper hand. The first thing I did was call my mom. Hey, it's me, I started, trying to keep my voice calm. Just letting you know. I now hold the lien on the house. Silence. Absolute, stunned silence. Jason, what does that mean? She finally whispered. It means I'm the one you owe now. If you want to keep the house, you'll be paying me directly. And it also means if Dad wants to keep it, he has to talk to me. Not the other way around. Oh my God. He's going to be furious, she breathed, panic seeping into her voice. That's not my problem anymore, I replied, and I meant it. I'm not playing this game on his terms. Not anymore. I hung up before she could try to talk me out of it. I knew what was coming and I was ready. Or at least I thought I was. The next morning it began. My phone lit up with a string of messages from my dad. At first, they were a mix of confusion and anger. What the hell do you think you're doing? You can't do this. Then they got uglier. You're a traitor. A parasite. I should have never trusted you. You're trying to ruin this family. I didn't reply. I let him stew. But it didn't stop there. My mom called, begging me to reconsider, saying my dad was losing his mind. Megan texted, just a sad face emoji, and please, can you just talk to him? But I ignored it. Then, around noon, the banging started. My door shook under his fists. I didn't even have to look through the peephole to know it was him. His voice was muffled but furious. Jason, open this door. You coward. Face me. I stayed on the couch, phone in hand, watching the messages keep coming in. One after another. Threats, insults, then desperate pleas. My phone vibrated nonstop, 22 messages in a single day. But I didn't move. Eventually, he gave up, storming off, his voice fading down the hallway. I breathed, a strange calm settling over me. I wasn't afraid anymore. I wasn't even angry. I was just done. But it didn't end there. My dad did what he always did, he made it public. Family members started texting me again. Jason, what's going on? Your dad says you're trying to steal the house. How could you do this to them? And once again, I was the villain in his story. So I fought back. I took screenshots of every payment I had made. I dug out every email, every bank statement showing how much I had given them. And then I sent it all, a group message to the family for everyone asking, here's the truth. I've paid thousands to keep them in that house. When I asked for respect, I got insults. When I set boundaries, I got threats. Now I own the lien because I refused to be used again. Most of them didn't reply. A couple messaged privately, apologizing, saying they didn't know the full story. Megan called, crying, saying she didn't know how to fix this. I told her it wasn't her job to fix anything. That for once, I was done being the one who made sacrifices to keep the peace. But my dad? Silence. For days. No texts, no calls. Nothing. Then one morning, a letter arrived. Handwritten. I didn't even have to open it to know it was from him. Still, I unfolded the page. It was a list. A list of all the things he claimed to have done for me over the years, the sacrifices, the lessons, the times he taught me to be a man. At the bottom, a single line, I hope you're happy now. I folded it, put it in a drawer, and didn't think about it again. The payments started coming in, straight to me, exactly as I demanded. No more middleman, no more mystery. Every month, I saw the exact amount they paid. Sometimes they were late. Once, they tried to shortchange me. I sent a notice, if it's not in full, I can start foreclosure proceedings. After that, they paid on time. My dad never reached out again. My mom texted occasionally, always brief, always polite, but distant. Megan sent me memes, her way of pretending things were still normal. And me? I felt, I don't know, not happy, not triumphant, just settled. I wasn't their ATM anymore. I wasn't their scapegoat. I was just me. Finally. A few months later, one of my aunts texted, asking why we hadn't had a big family gathering like we used to. I told her to ask my dad. And that was the last I heard from her. They still live in that house. But it's my terms now. If they miss a payment, I can step in. If they try to twist things again, I have the records. I'm not afraid of their stories anymore. Because this time, I wrote my own. And if they hate me for it, that's fine. I didn't do this to hurt them. I did it to survive them. And for the first time in my life, I finally feel like I can breathe.